Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And it is Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time with your weekly Traversing the Transits with Teri Hunter. Thanks for being here. There's a lot going on. This week marks the beginning of eclipse season for 2022 and the beginning of some dynamics that are going to be themes throughout the year that will show manifestation when we get into the fall and winter time. We have this week coming up a solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse in Taurus on the 30th. And I have done a video on that. Sorry, I'm a little choppy this morning. I've got a little distracted. Good morning, Juan. Can you hear me okay? I'm going to give it a sec, make sure that this is, oh, yes. Okay. Is that a thumbs up saying yes, you can? Okay. Terrific. All right. So I'm going to start with a little bit of business before I go into the readings. I am doing my first webinar on next Saturday, the day of the eclipse at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And today is the last day you can sign up for the early bird. This is going to be, I've entitled it a peek at the soul's contract, what the soul wants, what's the soul's intention for being in this life. What did you want to achieve? What did you want to experience? What did you want to triumph over? If you sign up today before midnight Pacific time, if you send me an email, then it's $19.99. If you sign up between the 25th and the 29th, it is $29.99. It's going to be about 2 hours, and we're going to set the foundation. It's the beginning of a 5-part series. So we're going to look at the South Node through the signs. We're going to identify how it feels and how it felt, what your soul's emotional body tends to carry from lifetime to lifetime. Then in the subsequent ones, we're going to look at the house structure. We're going to add in Chiron, and we're going to add in the degrees so we can get more and more detail, so we can start to see a theme. Why do these things seem to happen to me? And if we look at these things, we'll start to see some sort of thread that runs through the whole thing. So this is why I'm so excited. Yes, Shelley, Pisces is full of business this week. So I'm going to jump there. But anyway, if you want to do this, there's no link. There's just emailing me. You will be required to get the early bird. If you contact me before midnight Pacific time, you'll have to pay by tomorrow. But if you contact me tomorrow, then it'll be $29.99, and that's that. I also did a specific video for the solar eclipse, so check that out, because that's going to really give you even more detailed information about the house structure that this is going to affect for you. And I also did a video on the Pluto retrograde. These are all coming into play this week. Pluto has been stationing. The slower planets station longer, and we know from Lada, I studied with Lada for a long time. She says it's 5 times more power when the planet stations. So we've seen a little bit of Pluto's dark side coming up. We've seen, at least in my area, crime on the rise. This will be an indication. It's also going to illuminate for us where we've been hiding in our own lives, where we've been tucking in the dark and holding ourselves small. And this is where I believe that the real blanket is going to be lifted. And this planet, Pluto, going retrograde the day before this partial solar eclipse. And I kind of think of this partial solar eclipse as this peak of the sun, right? Looking out, wanting to give life to its leadership, and yet at the same time feeling some trepidation, because this is in Taurus, and Taurus rules security. Taurus rules our money. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So these dynamics are setting up this journey that we're going to go on of authenticity over the next few months. And so if something comes up that's challenging or something comes up that feels disruptive, it's going to ask you at a deeper level, is this really what you want? Is this really what you want to pursue? Is this really what you want to experience? Because when we are manifesting to provide financial security exclusively, it is a slippery slope. And it's a slippery slope because we become discontent. Once we stop worrying about our financial well-being, we put I don't know, it's almost like we start to blame inadvertently. We start to look at the experiences that we co-created by taking something that wasn't authentic, and then we start to villainize it. That's very Plutonian, criminals and detectives. You know, it's actually the perpetrator and the hero. It's very much that way. It's a very beautiful sign, but it digs deep in ways that nobody really likes to be probed. And that's why it rules some of the more challenging body parts. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about as far as check out the Pluto video, check out the solar eclipse video. These are so powerful that I couldn't lump them into a weekly. And if you've been feeling stressed, if you've been feeling challenged monetarily, this is not just exclusive to you. There's a bit of a wave going on because in addition to all of this, Pluto has been conjunct the natal point of the United States chart in Capricorn. Now, we're going to see this affect our everyday lives as well. So here we have Pluto at 28 degrees. Then it's going to go back to 26 degrees by October before it starts to move forward. So we're going to see it affecting everybody in the cardinal signs that has degree, from the 26th degree, almost, I think, even to the Aquarius 0 to 1 degree could be affected by all of this because you're going into conjunction as the planet's going back and forth. And we know that that 0 degree of Aquarius is going to birth something new. And we know that Aquarius is revolutionary. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is because let your intuition guide you to your safety if for some reason your areas get disruptive. I know I have been more cautious about taking the dog out at night because people seem angry. People seem a little bit on edge and almost as if they could just sort of snap. And I think this is the culmination of the repression we've felt for so long with so many things going on worldwide, challenging us. We've got challenging situations in parts of the world. I hate to use certain words, but we're looking at war. We're looking at people being oppressed and being, I don't even know what word to use because I can't imagine what these people are going through. So all of this is coming into play in a way that is repetitive for history, but also gives us an opportunity to make new choices. So if you find yourself overwhelmed by the news, overwhelmed by everyday events, give yourself permission to do something Venusian. Taurus rules Venus. Venus loves money. She loves to be cozy and comfortable and be around people that she likes and that she feels comfortable with. Right now, we have her and Jupiter and Neptune all hanging out together in close proximity in Pisces. We also have Mars in the mix, and Mars is creeping towards them. But also want to say this about Venus and Jupiter and Neptune being hanging out together in Pisces. You may inadvertently feel like water weight gain, a bit of inflammation. You may feel a little bit lightheaded in the sense of, I don't know, I want to say foggy a little bit. And so be mindful of what you're feeding yourself because we're walking into a Taurus partial solar eclipse in a new moon that rules food. So I personally have found the more I connect with spirit, the more time I spend in meditation, the more time I spend in my spiritual connection, the less I can tolerate things that don't support my body's balance. So that's what I want to say there. Okay. What happened to Shelley? Oh no, Shelley. That is so Plutonian this week. Now, I want you to think of this as okay, you are somehow acting as spirits um, servant in the sense of you get to be the light worker in this situation. You get to know that spirit is going to support your balancing of this. So the car will be fixed effortlessly and the mechanic will be super nice. And all of these things are going to align to reveal to you that sometimes our challenges are not personally our own, but levels and layers of choices that give us perceptions that adopt a focus that draws in through the laws of attraction our happiness and our fulfillment. So this has been something that has given me a lot of solace, because if I always felt like crap was happening to me and I almost said the S word, but I would really start to build up a resentment for why me, why me, why me. And now as I've grown older and I've grown more aware, I look for the layers. How do the layers support a bigger picture? Okay, so one other thing, I don't know if, yeah, exactly, that's what I was going to say. All right, so I want to say there's some, the transits this week with the personal planets feel like they're very quickly. Yeah, have your car fixed before the Mercury retrograde. But I want to offer this about the Mercury retrograde, because you'll hear in the Pluto video that Mercury will make trines both backwards and forwards to Mercury. And what I've discovered, because I have Pluto is in my natal chart part of two grand trines in Earth. And I found that the more authentic I am with my recognition of Pluto and what it wants to remind me of, how powerful I am, how I'm the co-creator of my life, how when I go deep in my heart, spirit supports me. Pluto will then start to shift the experience. I had a client this week who had a very, started off feeling very challenged, like everything was feeling stalled in their life. And inadvertently, they were kind of calling forth the stall, because they're like, okay, today something's going to happen. Today something's going to happen. And if you look deep, you'll feel that underbelly. Do you believe something's going to happen? So, point is, she stepped out of the vibration, went back into alignment, and then spirit gave her 1, 2, 3, not 3, but 4 different validations through actual earthbound experiences. But she had to participate by not sitting on her discontent, but rather pushing through. And that was by doing something that is fun. Again, you guys, give yourself permission to do Venusian things before you try to fix something, because I feel like calming the mind, going into something that feels comfy and cozy and sort of artistic and musical and provides me with entertainment and pleasure is going to help calm an energy before I move forward. Okay. Oh, I didn't see it, Michelle. So I apologize, but I will reach out to you later today and we'll take care of that. So I did not see that email. Anyway, all right. So I have pulled a tarot card for each one of the signs ahead of time. We're going to do our normal start with Pisces and then work our way through the zodiac. I want to say that Pisces, first thing I want to say is with this Jupiter, Neptune, Venus conjunction, and I know Mars is in there, there could be this expansive feeling of actually the challenging aspects of that dynamic, meaning not seen, Neptune lacking confidence, feeling I'm behind whatever is happening. I'm behind the action. I'm behind the scenes, but not in a way I'm feeling validated. So I want to offer it this way, because if you look at the flip side of this conjunction, what is the spiritual nature of my less than feelings? Are they true or are they false? Is it a story I keep telling myself and I don't need to tell it anymore? Because Venus is ruling self-confidence. And this is an opportunity for you to connect with spirit in a way that says, you know what? I've been feeling challenged. And if I feel challenged, thank you for bringing me experiences that support the higher version of what my oversoul tells me I can experience on this planet. And then Jupiter can anchor in that belief. Okay. And I really feel like this is not about trying to fall into false belief, but telling spirit authentically and vulnerably, I'm not sure I believe. Help me believe. All right, let's see what the tarot card is. The Chariot. I love this. This is movement without movement. It's a card of victory. It also rules the sign of Cancer, which is your friend, water. And so I feel like this is a really good opportunity for Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums to see the wisdom of the dark and the light as reflected by the sphinxes, to see that there is the hand of God over this. Because if we don't experience challenges, if we don't ever overcome what we deem the dark side in our own lives. And this doesn't have to be something that is, really criminal, but even our own thoughts sometimes, having an angry thought can feel dark. So I want to offer this to Pisces because this is a time to go into meditation. This is a time to connect with this idea of the moon being one of your friends, honestly, because the moon rules the oceans and Neptune rules the oceans as well. So this is an opportunity for you. Pisces, sun, moon, and Venus. Shelley, natally, this is awesome for you. So go into that place where the sun and the moon come together in new, which is what this Taurus solar eclipse has, and plant the seed for more abundance, and know that your intuitive body will be what leads the way. This is a really important time right now for those of us that are standing in light to walk through our challenges. And I don't want to say fearlessly, but courageously, because if we realize that this challenge is the impetus to feel the power, to know that we have the strength, the resources, the ability to pivot, to move, to adjust. So that I think this is a beautiful card. It's a major arcana card. Again, it represents Cancer, home, victory, intuition, trusting God and the angels. Look at the stars that are above this character's it's the canopy for his mind. So the answer is in the stars. And I believe on some level, I can't really see, but I get the feeling that his garb also kind of indicates a spiritual language, almost like the Knights Templars, of knowing that there's a holy mission in your ability to trust an inner knowing beyond what you can see outside in the way of movement within your life. All right, Pisces, let's look and see, because again, this is a really pivotal week for setting the seeds for complete transformation. If you think about what Pluto does, and I really believe Pluto wants to kill the lies we tell ourselves, the lies that, if you're not married to that person and their money, or if you don't, kiss up to the father that treats you or mother that treats you poorly, and their money you're going to inherit someday. All those are lies that we tell ourselves when we give away our power. And I think that the accesses, so the Taurus Scorpio access, is all about my skills, my ability to move forward without being too stuck in my story. And then the idea of Scorpio really giving us the ability to rise up and be the co-creator and be powerful within our own lives. Chip Gaines is a Scorpio sun. I don't know what his chart is like, but I thought it was so interesting that during COVID and during, they had already teed up to do their own network, but together, because I believe that Joanna is an Aries. So she's had this Pluto aspect. He has a Pluto ruling his sun. And during all the times of challenge that some people were really slipping down, these people were creating an empire. Okay, a television channel, multiple television shows, and multiple other endeavors, all centered around home and hearth and the things of this earth. Uranus transiting Taurus. So to bring this up, because if you start to view things from the place of how can I capture the attitude and the disposition that I am a powerful co-creator, and rather than being afraid that I'm going to create the proverbial crap, but no, I can create beauty under any circumstances. Here we go, Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And as you know, I'm really, really big fan of the moon. I believe that if we are not, connected emotionally to something, manifestation becomes like pushing a rock uphill. So let's see what the Chariot has to offer you this week. Our first angel is Opal. The second is Ariel. The third is Grace and Antoinette. And the final is Isaiah. Opal's being joined by the Protection card. Ariel's being joined by the Hawk. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Love card. And Merlin is being joined by, Isaiah is being joined by Merlin. Okay, so when I see Opal, I could talk about your children, but I tend to go to the individual here. Unless we're doing a personal reading and we're looking into your specific children, I tend to think of you as the inner child, the child of God. And I want to offer it this way because here we have the Chariot offering movement without movement, offering us an opportunity to go into our intuitive body. I see the moons as these sort of cups on his shoulders to catch my intuition. And then we see the Protection card and Opal telling you that God is protecting you, your dreams, and your inner child, not the adult that sits down and tries to figure out how to make themselves secure, safe, feel loved, feel seen, because you rule the 12th house naturally, that which is the most intuitive, which is the most isolated in some ways, and not isolated in the same way of exile like Aquarius, but rather this real reflective time. And I believe that Spirit is saying it is important for Pisces to take advantage of this conjunction between Jupiter, Venus, and Neptune right now, so that you can gain perception and perspective. This Protection card is a 38, which reduces down to an 11. We see the 11 on the Hawk. Again, we're looking at the master number of thought. We're looking at what everything comes down to our thought. And I know it's hard when our thoughts are jumbled up in anger and frustration and in blame. It feels like, how could I co-create this? But it is not. The human tends to want to go to being punished. And oftentimes it isn't about punishment at all, but rather the layered dynamics of an experience that provides karmic choice. And without that dip down, you would never understand the rise up, because there is an opportunity to feel compassion and love. And I think this is not for the experiences, but for your transformation, to see yourself rise above a situation, to see Pisces start to look at the spiritual dynamic of dark and light and how they serve each other. And if we had only one, it would be actually terrible. If we were constantly in sunlight, well, like, we love the sun, but if we were constantly in sunlight, we'd be scorched, and we would crave the dark and the beauty of the dark. The moon, if we were constantly in moonlight, we would feel this sense of coldness constantly. So here is an opportunity to go to the highest level of God's vibration, which is compassion and love for the journey that you've been on. Now we have Merlin bringing alchemy, justice, and balance to this new version of yourself. And I think this version for Pisces doesn't come from necessarily what you are manifesting in the material world that human beings validate, but rather a sense of seeing yourself in a new way. And in doing so, you're shining that light on yourself, which gives you an opportunity to feel, rather than feeling the challenging sides of the 12th house, feeling the more spiritual, connected, meaningful, purposeful dynamics of that 12th house. So this week, as you walk into this eclipse, if you are feeling challenged, if Pluto, the day before, because I really think this is powerful that Pluto is having this retrograde starting on a new moon. It's something very, very big about that. So Pluto's saying, if you come clean and you don't go, oh, how will I do that? And I've never had that before and blah, blah, blah. But you just go to your heart and you're almost like a little bit criminal cold about it. I'm just going to love on me. I'm sorry if other people don't understand. I got to do it. It's how it plays out. It's going to experientially change you in ways that I think will show up towards the end of the year in powerful, wonderful, uplifting ways. But you got to kind of be willing to understand that this is going to come from your intuitive body, That's where it's going to start. And part of it is anchoring into the idea that when you feel vulnerable, you're being protected. Okay, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Let's see what your tarot card is for this very pivotal week. And I say pivotal week because it is when you plant a seed. Oh, by the way, my tomato plants have started to bear fruit, and I'm so excited because I feel like as Taurus season started, they started to open, started to bring their little green babies out. And so I want to offer it this way because for Aquarius and for all the signs, I feel like this week, while we could look at some of the more the other aspects, I feel like these deep psychological dynamics really do set the tone. So don't be afraid, be excited. All right. Aquarius, we got the star. This is beautiful. It also rules Aquarius. So I want to offer this. We see a woman who's being vulnerable. She's literally out naked and she's focused in on the big pool, on feeding the big pool. But there's also this cup that feeds other avenues of her own heart's desires. So I really feel like this is super important. We see 7 stars, and not including the big yellow one in the middle, which I think represents change and opportunity. And in some ways, the 7 by nature is a dual sign in the sense of it brings everything has 2 sides to it, so we'll see in the 7 of cups, we see a little bit of debacle. In the 7 of swords, we see a need to sort of walk away from the crowd and take our stuff and move on. So for Aquarius, I want you to really look and see, because Saturn is sitting in your sign right now. Saturn's sitting on my Chiron, and there may be a feeling of being held back in some way. But I think, again, here we're talking about Saturn and this idea that, we're talking about Pluto and this eclipse, and then you add the idea that Saturn is your co-ruler. So it's asking you to slow down, dig deep into your heart, and give way to the idea that if you are vulnerable to your dreams, that God, the universe, source energy is changing things in such a way to line up to abundance in ways we've never known before, to know our dreams come true. The 11th house rules our hopes and dreams. It rules money. It rules networks. It rules so many things. All right, let's look at let's do our reading. Here we go. Okay, our first angel for Aquarius is Isabella. The second is Isaiah. The third is Francesca. And the final is Omega. That's pretty yummy. I can't help but think about Lotta right now. And she has an Aquarius rising. And the star coming out makes me feel really warm to that while she's in a vulnerable place right now, she will recover whatever's happened to her channel. So Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. And there's the movement card. Isaiah is being joined by the butterfly. Francesca is being joined by the horse. And Omega is being joined by the restriction card. Yeah, it's kind of funny when you see movement and restriction coming up in the same reading because it feels counterintuitive, but it's not. Because the movement for Aquarius comes in a revolutionary way. It comes in a way that goes back to the star, being vulnerable to a bigger picture of what you want. And if indeed you've been moving down one particular pathway, I want you to start to think of that as a highway, and that there could be potential lanes where you could integrate things. So for instance, I do most of my work is one-on-one. And the last few weeks I have been, as you might have noticed, putting a lot of videos out and putting a lot of sweat equity into creating videos. So there doesn't appear to be any movement in my life financially, but I do believe there's movement happening in my career. So yes, the timing is right for Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums to revamp, to rewrite how you have been feeling about your resources, how you've been, that's Venus, because I think that conjunction is relevant to everybody. So I'm just going to bring that up because Venus is money, Neptune is loss, and Jupiter is expansion. So there's this idea that you may be feeling, I don't want to lose anything, but there's such a possibility for you to become the butterfly as you give life to the idea. Then you connect with spirit. Because when we come up with an idea, sometimes as human, the first thing was like, how am I going to get there? Where's the money? Where's the time? Where's the this? Am I too old? Am I too young? Am I too smart? Am I too stupid? I mean, there's a million different things you can ask yourself. So spirit is really saying it's time to be a little Sagittarian and to really look at your focus. Again, we see this feeling of the horse representing Jupiter right now, the centaur. And I feel like the going in a new direction is not to focus on what could potentially be a problem, but rather allow yourself to go into the cocoon of focusing in on how it feels when you're experiencing what you want. As I meditate, I find that I start to ask for specific things, and then in that specificity, I realize that I'm being limiting. So I try to realize that and then open that up a little bit, because I think there's the potential that Aquarius has been trying to open up and being limiting at the same time, which is why I think we see the victory card and the restriction card coming together, because this is eminent, is this victory. And I think now it's about connecting at a deeper level where what you may be calling forth, is it limiting? So look, this is the kind of thing, oh, I'd love to win $1 million in the lottery. Oh, I'd love to win $1 million in the lottery. You're limiting yourself to $1 million. I want to win the lottery big time. Did you get it? It's like, and it is a greater surrender. It is Sacred Owl, because the surrender is not to the manifestation, but to the process. Okay. Because the human is going to always think they're driving the bus. And really, we're not driving the bus as much as we think we are. We are co-driving the bus. We are taking turns back and forth. As we get tired driving the bus, then spirit drives the bus. And sometimes the human gets scared because the ride is so quiet that we think the car's not moving. There's another analogy from the Teri. Okay, so overall, this particular week, I think there's movement. I think there's opportunity for Aquarius. I can't help but think there's some sort of renovation to your dreams, your hopes, and your desires. I feel like there's the potential that you've been limiting yourself. And in doing so, Spirit has sort of put you in a timeout to rethink things so that you can really live at the highest vibration possible for what you want to experience. Lucky, why do you have your bottom staring into the camera? Oh, there he goes. He's got to dig into the carpet. My dog is so spoiled, you guys. I can't even begin to tell you. Okay, here we go. On to our Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I'm going to say this, Capricorn, surrender. And not in a way of apathy, not in giving up. It's surrender to the dynamics of spirit is trying to move you from some sort of stoic feeling of yourself. And I can't help but thinking of a friend I know who has a few planets in Capricorn, and they're of a certain age, and they don't want to build a big career anymore, and they find themselves at a crossroads where finances are important. They're not quite as secure as they want to be, and yet their motivation to go work hard manual labor isn't there. And this would be something that I think that Capricorn would naturally default to. I need to work hard. I need to do something. I need. And that need feels like it's going like this. And it's slowly sucking the life out of you and your inspirations. So I want to offer this for Capricorn, because Pluto, if you have a late Capricorn, if you're late Capricorn, January 18th, 19th, 20, around there, you're in the bullseye of the conjunction. And I've lived through Pluto conjunctions in all my planets. And most of the time, Pluto was blowing up areas I was holding myself small. if I didn't think I was pretty enough, if I didn't think I was valuable enough. And there was this weird sense of, because I have this Aries rising, a lot of what Pluto was doing was blowing up some of my Mars activities that were out of balance, showing me that when I came too Aryan, too much of the warrior towards something, I actually was shooting myself in the foot. So I've learned how to work with that. I'm not always perfect at it, but I've learned how to work with it. So Capricorn, let's look and see what the tarot card is for you this week. The Page of Pentacles, the infusion of new money in the material world. And I want to offer it this way, because Capricorn is one of those signs that if they don't see their efforts manifested in the material world, they kind of discount them. And I feel like this is holding you a little bit overly responsible for, because oftentimes things are manifesting on levels that the human can't see. And so when I look at the page, I see him looking up. I see him feeling there's something light-footed about him. He's not standing stoically, dug into the ground, but rather more light-footed. I can't help but notice the colors that are here. We see a lot of the green, which is the Taurus eclipse. We see this red and orange, which could represent the base chakra and the heart's desires. So I really feel like this is an opportunity for new money to come in, for new resources. I hate to think of money as the only thing that provides security. I really always say to Spirit, thank you for bringing me all the resources to flourish, to feel flow. I don't need to be buku rich. I don't need to have $1 million in the bank, because I don't think that's going to do it. But I do think the ease of the flow gives me more security. So that's where I'm going. Let's see what else, Capricorn, because Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra are anybody. I've got my Mars at 27 degrees Libra, my sun is at 23 degrees Libra, and my rising sign is at 26 degrees Aries. So, I could sit here and be freaking out about what Pluto is going to do to me. I don't think so. I'm like, okay, Pluto, we're going to work together. We're going to use your energy to anchor in this solar eclipse that's a 6-month influence. We're going to think about money in a new way. We're going to think about money providing Venusian things, Taurian things, good food, good company, good music, and focus on that. And then we're going to start to let that momentum grow. And I think that's important for Capricorn, because you start running, the goat just darts up the freaking mountain before it really realizes, do I want to go up this mountain or do I want to go up that mountain? All right. I love me, my pup. I'll tell you, we've had a whole new reversal since our marital spat a few weeks ago. He's really, I don't know. It's funny how when you care about something too much, it's actually a disservice. And that's been the biggest thing I noticed, is that since our marital spat, I've been a little less freaked out that Lucky was going to die or if something bad was going to happen to him. And he's been more loving, because I guess he doesn't feel that underlying fear that I was carrying, that I didn't even know I was carrying. Yeah, I knew I was carrying it. All right, Capricorn. Our first angel is Archangel Michael, asking you to have courage. There's Ariel, and the courage is to connect to spirit. The courage is absolutely to connect to your angelic realm. Seraphina is offering a change of happiness to your family. And then Vanessa is going to ask you, do you make your decisions based on faith or fear? Let's look, because this is a whole new world for Capricorn and an opportunity, but it's going to take a lot of courage. And I say that courage because, there's this tendency with Capricorn, if you can't see it, you don't believe it. That could be a problem. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Risk card. Ariel is being joined by the Power and Strength card of the Dragon. Seraphina is being joined by the Communications card. And Vanessa is being joined by the King. Capricorn, I think this is super important. I just got chills everywhere. The super important part is to be able to take the energy of the Page of Pentacles and allow the infusion of your material security. I've been talking about Capricorn for a while, kind of becoming a more aware, emotive being, and that the emotions you feel are important, that they're not frivolous, they do not supersede the hard work you do. They are actually of more importance. It's like, if you're connected to your emotional body, am I working hard towards what I love? Am I being authentic to myself so I can be authentic to others? That is the true wind beneath the wings of manifestation. So Spirit is saying, do you have the ability to risk and the courage to risk changing the way you think? Because you rule Father Time, you rule old age, you rule stone, and actually dry things, things that can dry up. So I feel like the risk is, and this is for those of a certain age that are Capricorns, you may be thinking things are drying up. My future is looking dimmer. The road ahead is much shorter than the road behind me. But that doesn't mean that road ahead cannot be paved with beautiful things, because your new dynamic, starting with your connection with Spirit, is where the calm and the change can come in a material way, where you go, okay, I get it. I kind of want to go back to that client who was inadvertently setting themselves up for the opposite to happen. When they declared something was going to happen within a day, they didn't really acknowledge that underneath. They're like, I don't know if I really believe it. Nothing's happened so far. Why is today any different? And then that recognition that, oh, I've got this underbelly, helped them actually make a physical shift that then gave Spirit an opportunity to support them in ways that were so crazy that this person's mind was going pshh, pshh, pshh. Because this is in the angel's advice, the communication card, and the happy family. This to me doesn't come from the physical family. It goes back here to your intuitive, your spiritual connection family that is supporting you, because you chose in this lifetime to come in as a Capricorn rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, because you chose to learn something about the rules. Are they the rules that I follow dutifully that don't really serve the highest vibration? Or are these the rules I follow that are fair and just and support the soul's experience through the human, through the material, to go through the ebb and the flow, to go through the fear and the faith, to go through the I don't know, and then to conquer and feel like I'm the bomb? Because here it is. Vanessa's saying, Capricorn, are you going to continue to make your decisions on faith, or are you going to move to fear? Because this is where the truth, the justice, and where real fairness can come in, and where I feel like Capricorn also represents authority. It represents government. It represents structures beyond the individual. So this is an opportunity to see that the idea that the structures can change, the idea that the man is not insurmountable, for lack of a better term. So I really want to offer this for my Capricorns, because this is one of the biggest challenges for you to see. You follow the rules. I have Saturn in Capricorn, and I'll tell you, I can't steal cable. I don't care. So, oh, here's your password. I can't do it. I cannot. Like, every time I remember walking through the market and seeing money on the ground, and seeing this guy walk by and grabbing the money and running after the guy going, is this your money? Did you drop the money? And he's like, that's not my money. And until I knew it wasn't his money, and I knew there wasn't anyone else it could be, then I kept the money. I'm really weird that way. It's very Saturnian. So I want to offer this for my Capricorns. As you walk through this next 6 months, which is pivotal, as Pluto goes back and forth from 26 to 28 degrees before it moves finally forward into Aquarius. And then in 2023, we'll see one more retrograde that's going to affect those late degree Capricorn's cardinal signs. But this is where we can start to root in. So when you're willing in this moment, Capricorn, to risk it, by the time we get to 2023, you may have a life that's completely different. And this is where you're sitting in a whole new way, a whole new infusion of money, in financial security, in feeling excited about how you're going about this. We also have that solar eclipse in Taurus, rules money. All right. On to our Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our tarot card is the stuck card of the Four of Pentacles. This is actually a little bit of a hoarding energy here. There's a sense of lack of security, but something's happening difficultly. In some ways, Sagittarius might be holding on to whatever you deem. This is a time, let me put it this way. I've noticed in the month of April, everyone, my clients, me, the people I talk to on the street, everybody's feeling a bit of a pinch. It's almost like there's some sort of boomerang effect from all the support we got from the government during COVID. And now now these things are being lifted and prices are going crazy. Gas prices are going up. It's like $6.15, $6.20 a gallon here in California. And I feel like this is Sagittarius. This might not be what's happening to you, but you may be preparing inadvertently for something. And I feel like, I don't know if this is such a good energy. And I say it this way because there's a way of holding on to your money that has more ease to it. This feels like it's all based in fear. And especially when I get up here, when I'm looking at the money that's right over my heart chakra, and then this money material piece blocking the crown chakra. So I think that this is important for Sagittarius to pay attention to any areas in the material world where you're holding on too tightly to something and it feels like it's fear-based. My voice sounds different today. I don't know. I think I'm the same. Is it getting older? Am I sounding older? I just had my 62nd and a half birthday, if you're counting. So maybe my voice is changing into an old woman. I don't know. But it's me, I promise. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, our first angel is Teresa. The second is Maya. The third is Layla. And the final is Shanti. Here we go. It sounds deeper. Oh, okay. Oh. Well, I've always been a bit of an alto. All right, here we go. Sagittarius. Teresa is being joined by the water fairy. Maya's being joined by the protection card. Layla's being joined by the partnership card. And Shanti is being joined by the wind fairy. All right. Sagittarius rules foreign things, foreign people, foreign concepts and ideas, philosophy, the gypsy. What I want to say here is that I feel as if there could be, in some respects, if we don't look at this as money and we just look at this as feeling stuck, Sagittarius may feel a little bit stuck because you're not getting to be your own self. You're a normal world traveler, the curious. I know we put curiosity with Gemini, but there's a higher level of curiosity. There's an intention when we get to Sagittarius about experiencing the diversity of thought and philosophy and culture. So here we have the water fairy and Teresa is about worry. It's about concern, and there's the water fairy. And I feel as if this goes directly with this. So we may be worried about other people, about being able to take care of other people, taking care of, like if you're a Sagittarius parent and you're thinking about wanting, my kids' college, my kids, I got to put shoes on their feet, blah, 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 anything to do with the material. Again, here we are having a new solar eclipse in the sign of money, and money that I'm insecure about, because that's the second house rules insecurity, because I want that money to make me feel secure. Spirit is teaching Sagittarius something that they have called forth. This lesson is about knowing that you're being protected. And I want to offer it this way, because if those of us that walk a spiritual path always walk in ease, then those that observe our life do not give us any credit. They're like, you got this. You got this. You're not like me. I struggle. You don't struggle. So sometimes it's a spiritual journey to struggle, to walk through worry and unknowingness and trepidation and feeling vulnerable to our resources, because Spirit is saying, get into partnership with me. This is where your protection lies. This is where your true security lies. This is where you are isolated, insulated, and and supported through challenging times. And I mean challenging times on the world stage, when we hear and we're pummeled through the media about how awful things are and how challenging they are and how, you know, criminal people are being very hard and mean to each other. I don't know what's going on in other cities, but here there's a lot of people randomly being physically violent with people. I know, for no reason. So this could be a concern for Sagittarius. There's so much chaos in the world. So now Spirit is saying your peace comes from your directional thought, that it's time to go, almost like there's the emotional body that creates. It's kind of weird because I feel like the emotional body is connected to worry, but your peace lies when you recognize that your emotional body is triggering your mind into sort of going out here. Let's go down the line, and I'm worried about what's going to happen there. And so I want to come back. I want to come back and say, okay, if I am as connected, and if all the work I've done as an evolving human, as a conscious human, is actually true, because I think at some point we have to stop working and start applying. Stop looking at the problems, because the problems are the problems. At some point, the problems don't change anything, or the scar doesn't get any more healed. So as I turn away from other people's opinions, trust an inner knowing, connect with spirit, and then kind of put these little, I almost want to, like a Clydesdale, put these little blinders on myself, and then say, all right, Spirit, thank you for giving me peace of mind as I walk through this path of unknowing. Because I, as a Sagittarius rising moon, sun, and stelliums, represent philosophy, connection to the angelic realm, broader concepts. It is the ninth house, is the coagulation, or the understanding, the recognition of what travesties and tragedies might have happened in the eighth house of death and rebirth. Because oftentimes we find our most spiritual sense of self after something very challenging has happened. So this is where I think, and I'm not talking about death, I'm talking about money. This is all about resources for Sagittarius. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios, because your ruling planet has a lot to say. All righty, here we go. I know. I wonder why you can't do that. Why you can't hit like on some of the comments. Oh, you know, it's funny. I haven't been drinking, but I've been into this, because I say that because I apparently sugar is not just with alcohol, but I've been really, you guys, me and my Starbucks, I love their coffee cake. So lately at night, I've been buying a coffee cake during the day and saving it for dessert. And maybe I've had too much sugar lately, and that's why my voice is deep. All right. I'm on to Scorpio. Let's look at our tarot card. Okay. The Eight of Swords. This represents the mutable sign of air, which would be, I know this off the top of my head, but I always forget, Gemini. And I feel as if when we look at this, 8 is the number of abundance, and yet this character is somehow in a precarious state of balance. She doesn't look flat on her feet. The ties that are wrapping around her feel quite loose, as if they're about to fall off, and she looks as if she can actually see under the blindfold. So this really reflects to me that the thought process of this Scorpio is that, and it's the 8th house. Look at that. Scorpio rules the 8th house. You are a little bit part of the problem because you are not willing to see your own co-creation. And I think that has to do with focus of thought and focus on what may be potentially dying in your life, because of the 8th takes me back to the natural Scorpio house. Then we look at the idea that I off the top of my head, I can't think of what the what houses Pluto is going to hit you in. That's in the video, but I want to offer it this way because Pluto is only trying to kill the lies you're telling yourself. And I don't want to say it in a negative way, but I feel like it's a repetitive lie. I'm not good enough. I'm not valuable enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not. And I feel like Pluto is like, are you kidding me? Everybody has purpose. And I'm not going to take this nonsense from you, Scorpio. This is no longer time to be brooding. It's time to be the detective. It's time to be the psychologist for yourself and see how you co-create your own life, because you have the potential to be so powerful, more so than any of the other signs. You will be billionaires, not just millionaires. So this is really taking that Pluto and transforming it into its highest vibration. Welcome, mindful cutie. Hi, posted up. I have not said hi to anybody specifically, and I apologize. Hi, Natalia and Shelly. Juan, of course, in Small Wildflowers. They're my musketeers. God bless them. All right, let's see what the angels want to say about where this sort of co-creation of your own. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's a big, when I look at this 8, it feels a little bit like we can get out of this. I just have to be brave enough to step out of the wall of swords. All right, here we go. Grace and Antoinette, compassion. Isaiah, it's time to begin new things. Seraphina, happy change to your family. And then Athena saying it's safe for you to be powerful. Lovingly powerful. You know, 145 Club, I can't even believe it was Spirit, because when I do, oftentimes I'll do, in my one-on-ones, I'll use like 4 decks, just because I start to think the angels are so nice. They're always going to say something wonderful and loving. And then I go to the tarot and it's sort of like, rawr, we're going to be a little bit more cut and dry. And then I'll go to like the Kyle Gray deck or one of my other things, and it all supports. It's like the person pulls the same cards, the same meaning out of in each deck. So I really feel like they're indicating a momentum. So Scorpio, Grace and Antoinette wants compassion for partnership. And I'm not sure this is about you being in a partnership, but if you want a partnership, let's look. Isaiah is saying it's time to give birth to new ideas. And then we have the burden card. Seraphina is saying a happy change is coming. There is movement coming. And then the final is Athena and the Lady of the Lake. I'm going to tell you right now, Scorpio, if you've been giving your power away to anybody, if you're contemplating relationships or interactions with people, dynamics, experiences that don't serve your highest and greatest good, Spirit ain't going to let it happen. Your oversoul isn't going to let it happen. And you may be frustrated as all get up because you keep thinking, well, if I just do this or I do that, then, I'll be more palatable. No. There's the partnership card and compassion. And I think this is for you to have this moment of really looking at what do you want in a relationship. Gemini represents the twins. Gemini, this is the Gemini energy. The 8, 9, and 10 of the swords represent mutable air. So I kind of want to say it this way, because if you've been thinking that you have to be a certain way, you have to dumb down because you're so powerful. And sometimes you don't let that power out until you're frustrated, and that's when the stinger comes out. But it doesn't have to be that way. So I feel like this is really about having compassion for yourself, to looking at if you were receiving how do you want to receive communication? And in doing so, how are you going to express yourself? Because when you sit in that vibration, then you're showing up in a way that's more aligned to your truth, which then helps the other party align. Because this is where you may be stuck in the pattern. And this is where the 8 of swords may be getting in your way, because it's hard for you to think that there's a new life coming. It may be difficult for you to think, where's that going to come from? How's it going to be? This person has been this way forever and ever. And I feel like this is kind of a little bit where you take the specifics off of things and start to just declare the broader view. And that way, if indeed this is in regard to an actual love partnership, then if the person you have your sights on isn't able to align with the truth of what you want, and they inadvertently go away, Spirit will bring something to fulfill that. And your fear that won't happen has been blocking it. Or your attachment to wanting somebody to be different so that you can be happy and staying in a situation that is not serving you because you refuse to recognize that person will not change. because Serafina is saying that there is happiness and movement, but you got to give birth to a new idea in some way. And I can't help but go back to last Sunday. I brought up the Bible story of Daniel. You know, I hadn't seen it or thought of it in a million years. And I was watching the History Channel. They were doing a whole marathon, and Daniel was being thrown into the lion's den. And he was going to be eaten and killed by those lions. He was sure of it. And in that moment, he surrendered everything over to God. He had nowhere to go but down. I mean, nowhere to go but up. He was at the very bottom. And in that surrender, his vibration changed. And I believe that's like black tiger, black jaguar, white tiger, whatever that guy is. And that's Caesar of Milan. There's no resistance. There's no energy on it. So the lions didn't want to eat him. The next guy came in, they ate him because he was full of fear, because it is safe for you to lovingly assert yourself to your deepest truth and look at the lady of the lake. There's going to be a storm between your head and your heart, but holding your truth. And this is not about telling another human your deepest truth. This is about your connection to spirit. This is about being in, this is how I want to say it. You know, the South Node is transiting through Scorpio right now. So you have to sort of be egoless in your willingness to say, I want to experience this. And rather than having the ego say, and I want it to be with that person or in that job or in that situation that up until now hasn't proven it will do that. That's what this is all about. So I think overall, this big, huge thing is Pluto going retrograde is for you to review and to reassess how partnerships are showing up for you. And if for some reason you've been holding yourself small or hoping somebody would change and they don't crucify yourself. Don't go into that place of beating and berating. That's not going to do any good. It's just about acknowledging a deeper truth and something that's super important to you. Because if Scorpio tries to have relationships that are superficial, it is a disaster waiting to happen. So allowing that, this is how I roll. And I'm going to be excited about the idea that spirit is going to align this situation or this relationship with me. And this being the dynamic you want, not the person you want. All right, let's go on to our Libras. Libra. I go backwards in case you're new to my show. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. I started this almost, I think, over 2 years ago because I have Uranus in the 5th house of Leo, and I just have to be different and unusual. And I get tired of people always doing the same thing and Aries always getting to be first. So I made it last. Here we go, Libra. Yeah, I have a few more signs to go before we get there because Teri talks a lot. She tries not to talk a lot, but she just does. All right, here we go. Libra. Oh, what's our tarot card? Sorry. Libra, you have the Strength card. This is a card of great compassion. This is a card of, oh my gosh, this is like Daniel and the lion's den. This is complete surrender to a situation, and not because you've resigned yourself to the fact that you're less than, but rather that you can't see everything. And there is a wisdom as indicated by this infinity sign right above the crown of bounty. The foliage representing Taurus. Look at what's around her waist, more bounty. And it's all because she is fearlessly standing in compassion and love and treating others as she would like to be treated. Strength is a beautiful card of love. So this is the theme. Let's look. Where are we going? Because I also see Leo energy there. I also see it being an 8. So through compassion, through the idea of the human journey is riddled with ups and downs, blacks and whites, dominance and weakness. I mean, so many polarities that if we can have compassion for that, the polarization, then we can somehow represent the balance of that polarization. Libra, your first angel is Serafina. The second is Desiree. The third is Athena. And the final is Vanessa. Let's see where we're going. Oh, thank you. Abdina, I don't know if I can say that. I can't even read it. Abhinadan? Abhibadan? Am I saying that right? All right. Seraphina is being joined by the Perception card, Libra. Desiree is being joined by the Baird. Athena is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Vanessa is being joined by the Restriction card. Okay. I'm a Libra sun. And this is why I always I laugh because I have an Aries rising and a Libra sun. And they are in opposition to each other for the most part. And I'm constantly having to reevaluate my perception. My go-to is the Aries. You want to mess with me? You want to fight with me? You want to war with me? And then my Libra's like, no, be diplomatic. No, don't act out. And when I was younger, I was like, screw that Libra stuff. And I would just blast people. And then I realized that people came back around in my life and things went in circles. And then I would end up being the big a-hole because I was so mean to other people. And then they would come back around. So I learned to keep my mouth shut until I really knew the story. Because I got to tell you, there's things going on right now that I'm really glad I didn't pop off at somebody, okay? Because Seraphina is the happy change to the family as Libra checks their own perception. Because the Libra, everybody wants to kind of make things like black and white. Like Libra's always so nice. And I, when I was a kid and they would describe Libra, I'd be like, that doesn't sound like me at all. And I'm right in the middle of Libra. So what I learned was that we all have these varying hues. And Libra, if you're sometimes too accommodating, it kind of messes with you because you'll get a little passive aggressive. And I can say that because, here I am in Libra. So I want you to look at your perception because your perception will change your experiences in your relationships. And I want to offer it this way too, because Libra is a cardinal sign. So if you're late born Libra, or you have anything around those degrees, because I've got my Mars at 27 degrees squaring Pluto. I thought to myself, holy crap, am I going to turn into this banshee of war and destruction? Or am I going to be a truth sayer and stand up for the destruction of the imbalance that serves the balance? Because Desiree, Libra, is asking you to look at your history before you take action. And that's what I've been doing. I feel so blessed to be an old woman now because it's so the wisdom that I have. It doesn't mean it's easy, but at least I know better than to just react. So here we go. The Baird is saying, Desiree, conditions aren't favorable because you could be making your decisions or your perceptions could be based on history, on a history that is no longer really applicable. The history that's over there that Libra keeps bringing back this way, because Spirit is saying it's safe for you to be lovingly powerful, but this is also about seeking the sacred. And that sacred is where is your participation, Libra? Sometimes as a Libra sun, I'm cooperative when I don't want to be. I let someone else drive the bus thinking that they're going to give me a moment, and they don't give me the moment. And then, I'm kind of like, excuse me, hello. Then my Aries and my Taurus moon kick in, because I think this is all about balance for Libra, about lovingly asserting yourself, about not letting yourself hope somebody will see you or hope somebody will be compassionate towards you, but rather to be compassionate towards self in your perception of that hope, in realizing that you are purporting a habitual story that no longer serves you. And it's safe for you to lovingly seek the sacred within yourself, because now is a time to really take a pause and see, Libra, if you're basing your decisions on faith or fear. This, the solace I take about Pluto is knowing that most of my life, Pluto was doing conjunctions. And if I was younger and I knew Pluto was doing conjunctions, I might have been super scared. I'll be honest with you. I might have thought, Holy Mother of God, what have I signed up for? This is never going to end. I'm going to spend my whole life in this Pluto energy. And I would have really wanted to leave the planet. And I kind of did want to leave the planet sometimes. But whenever I got there, Spirit would say, Teri, you know better than that. Dig deep into your intuition, because you know there's something coming for you that's awesome. And that awesomeness is hard. You worked hard for it. Don't bail now. Because this is what I did learn, is a lot of my trials and tribulations are what made me who I am today, meaning this. Spirit uses all of those in my readings. They pull out this one, pull out that one. I feel like my memories are a little file cabinet. And when I've experienced something that's close to what my client has, they'll whip out that memory. And then the other people will be like, oh my God, how do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just had so many crappy experiences. Spirit's going, whoosh, here. So there's this kind of flow to all of this stuff. And Libra, your biggest job right now is to have compassion as you walk through this potential square, or even if it's a loose square, because, those early born Libras, while they're not feeling it as tightly, there's always there's something in the air. It's like walking in the bathroom after somebody's gone, and you're like, whoa, you may not see it, but you can still smell it. Okay. God, I'm too descriptive sometimes. All right, let's go on. Libra, faith over fear, compassion of self. And again, I want to emphasize, if you feel a little overwhelmed by things, do Venusian things. This is the greatest advice I got from Brian Coulter when I was telling him about how transit, the squares, Pluto squaring me in transit was so challenging. He's like, honey, just let yourself be Venusian. Let yourself be Venusian. So I did diamond art for like a year and a half. Now I have all this diamond art stuck in my closet, and I'm not doing diamond art. I feel obsessed to do videos. I couldn't think of an idea to do a video for 2 years. And now I feel like ideas won't let me sleep. Okay, here we go. On to our Virgos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, lovely. The card of self-satisfaction. I love it. Look at this guy. You know what? I feel like this again, we see mutable energy with this cup. We're seeing Pisces energy. So I can't help but think of Pisces being the opposite sign for Virgo. We see Jupiter and Venus and Neptune all this week kind of hanging out together. And I feel like this is really an opportunity for Virgo to feel the access balance of the spiritual being practical. That's what I think when I see that. I feel like, Virgo can sometimes be a little bit, because we're earth sign, and then be a little bit too dependable and practical in that earthly experience. Okay, we're going on vacation, everybody. Let's get out the Thomas guide and figure out where we're going. And, and sometimes this Pisces would be like, let's just get in the car and drive. So now I feel like we're seeing a little bit of balance with that. So let's see what Spirit has to say in the way of because the idea that your personal satisfaction matters, that Virgo is a sign of enslavement, slave owners and slaves, employers and employees. So there is a balance between this. And I believe that Virgo inadvertently will always kind of defer to, kind of like Spock, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And actually the needs of the one help the needs of the many. So, all right. So here we go. Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I want to point out or say, if you have stelliums, if there are a lot of outer planets, those are generational, so they're not quite as personally influential, although they will be. But if they're personal planets, pay attention. It's a lot. Okay. Virgo, our first angel is Bridget. The second is Fiona. The third is Celeste. And the final is Bethany. So we look at the card of personal satisfaction. We're looking at personal self-care in this particular spread. We have the stag joining Bridget. We have the frog joining Fiona. We have forgiveness joining Celeste. And we have Bethany joining by the love card. This does not feel like love outside yourself in any way. This feels like Virgo, me, and it's about time. Okay? Let me just say it. I can't help but think my grandfather was a Virgo sun. My dad was a Virgo sun. My brother-in-law is a Virgo sun. It's just, feels so huge to me. And I want to offer it this way, because the first person I said was my grandfather, and he was so focused on other people and making sure everybody was okay. And I really don't know if he ever took care of himself. I cannot think of one thing that my grandfather ever did that was fun. I don't remember him ever golfing or hanging out with guys and doing something. He went to work, he came home, he did his chores, and he went back to work. Sounds very Saturnian. But he was a Virgo. And I want to say it this way, because Bridget is asking Virgo to look deeper into their own leadership. Now I'm going to go back to this Nine of Cups, because now I think this leadership comes from taking care of you and having a little bit of fun and letting yourself be frivolous. Do the crossword puzzle, take a nap, watch an old movie, take a walk, do nothing. Because Fiona is saying, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And then when I see the frog, this is about the cleaning of your emotional baggage. So I feel like this could be the feelings of so much duty to others, service, and work. Because here we have the idea of work, Celeste, a new home, a new place of employment, ushering in new energy. This is in the angel's advice. And then we have the forgiveness card. So yes, I do see this as a shift in the way you're thinking, but I also think it's in a shift in the way you're thinking about what you need to do for work. Are you taking care of you in what you get from work? Are you feeling an ebb and a flow? Because Bethany finishes this with self-care and love of self, and we started this with self-satisfaction. So I want to kind of put it this way for Virgo. I think that this eclipse, Pluto retrograde, the eclipse being solar, partial solar, the sun shining out into the world, the Taurus, how I make my money, where I put my feet every day, my boots on the ground. And I think that there's a potential that everything in the next 6 months is going to change for you as you take leadership in the idea that your personal fun, your personal pleasure, your personal ease, your ease and peace of mind are at the top of the list now. And then what's going to happen is Spirit's going to start to align the outside world to support that endeavor. And this idea of feeling like you're obligated to this sort of stuttery thing you don't like anymore will start to shift away. Or they'll bring in new opportunities for a new job out of nowhere. Years ago, I was working at that bakery. I don't know if so many videos now. I don't know where I've told my stories, but I had lost everything I owned while I was working at a bakery. And it's a very pivotal story, but I wanted something different. I wanted to work for this other guy. And what ended up happening is he showed up out of nowhere looking for me. He thought I was living in North Carolina. And when I had the 6 degrees of separation person call me and say, blah, blah, blah is looking for you, he wants to hire you, I was like, oh my God. And that comes from Spirit. So Virgo, part of this is opening up your way of thinking, giving the universe an opportunity to fill the holes that you can't think of. So if the holes are, well, I've worked here for 15 years, I don't know where I'd get another job, or I'm stuck here, that's not what you need to worry about. What you get to worry about is how it feels when you're standing in the idea of my life is rolling the way I want it to, that there's an opportunity for me to feel satisfaction in what I'm doing, and not just because I'm making money, but because I'm also appreciated and people are making it known. All right, let's go on to our Leos. Okay. Really pivotal week in the sense of setting intentions, of taking really time to, I've harped for a long time about Pluto having that heart on the planet's surface that you can see from space. And I feel as if that's what this retrograde is about, really going back into that heart. So, Leo, we have the King of Cups. This is really exciting because the King of Cups to me is really the mastery of the emotional, intuitive body. And I feel as if when I look at this king looks very calm as these seas are ever so rocky. And can you see the little fish jumping out of the water and then the sort of red pirate ship in the background? There'll always be distractions. This also represents very much Pisces, but in this case for Leo, this is going to represent the Piscean energy of the connection to spirit. And if we think about the idea of you allowing the leadership that Leo represents to come from this place of the heart, to come from this place of what I want intuitively, emotionally, there's so much, and it's kind of funny to me too, because when I look at this, maybe part of those, the seas feels like, all the different colors of the ocean, it feels like Leo may be going up and down emotionally about whether they feel powerful enough to have what they want, whether they're feeling strong enough in their heart. Leo's challenge is to follow their heart. And I can't help but notice that his feet are in the green. That makes me feel like the very basis of what this is from the heart, and it has to come from allowing yourself to go into a more intuitive place, and that will come from the heart. So let's see what the spread looks like. Because I look at all those different colors and I feel like when the fish is jumping out of the water, it almost feels like it's in opposition to those red, that feels like a pirate ship. Like there's something here that feels a little dangerous, and here's, oh no, trust your intuition, jump through those waves. I know it sounds a little weird, but that's me. I'm weird. Yeah, we are on Leo. Vanessa, faith or fear. Rosetta, children and teaching. Serena, money and abundance. And Teresa, worry. Vanessa is being joined by the Raven. Rosetta is being joined by the Disruption card. Serena is being joined by the Serpent. And Teresa is being joined by the Bee. Leo has a lot of, it's funny because I'm interrupt myself. Leo gets some sort of interesting rap, I think, because first of all, we love Leo because it's so charming and so entertaining and makes us feel so, when the light of Leo shines on us, we feel so special. And then we villainize Leo for being boisterous and the class clown and the energy suck in the room that wants all the attention. And I feel like this is kind of a moment to rewrite Leo. Because Leo, we want you to be funny. We want you to be who you are. And I think the rest of us need to take a back seat sometimes in how we perceive you, because sometimes I think we're a little envious of your willingness to stand out in the crowd. Because I think that right now, going into this emotional body of trusting your heart, because sometimes I think, Leo, when you're going to the audience, you're looking for the heart to be validated by the audience. And now I feel like this is a time when your own faith, that you've kind of been through the underworld. You've got you've had this opposition going on in Aquarius. So Saturn's been affecting you in opposition. So there's been something that's been restrictive outside of you, and that could have been your network. But now the timing has changed, and now it's time to have a deeper faith. This is where you can really stand in leadership, because I feel like this disruption card is actually going to teach you something, and that's the trust of the inner child, the trust of the heart, the trust of the one. Again, I kind of go to this place where I feel like we fight between being grown-ups and being children, and children believe in magic. Children believe in superheroes, and adults believe in working hard to pay their bills and got to get that laundry done and got to do this and got to do that. And I just feel like it's time to take all of that off the books for Leo. It's time to go into your heart. It's time to trust an intuitive place. It's time to see the victory in when you are your own audience for just a minute. Because when I look at Serena and I look at the serpent, I see knowledge. I see knowledge and healing coming from some sort of disruption, and that disruption feels like it's disrupting the adult and bringing in the child. And I say it this way because Teresa indicates worry of other people's opinions and thoughts and actions. And then there's the bee. And I feel like the bee is all about victory. And the victory comes from saying, you know what? The audience may not know my intention now, or they may not see, because this is kind of how I want to summarize it. I feel like Leo may want to endeavor something that feels like it's being an inspiration that's coming. It's a new chapter. It's a new opportunity. And it's my job to give birth to it in this new solar eclipse in Taurus moon, and allow Pluto to do its thing in rewriting how I'm perceiving it, because I don't want to sit in the dark of fear anymore as a Leo. I want to step in faith, and the timing is right because you've been to the underworld. Now it's time to disrupt the adult and to live more in a childlike energy of serenity. And this will bring an experience that will actually let you shed a skin. And the skin will be of, you'll understand that, yes, you need an audience, but your own heart is the only real audience. And that will shift your being energy. And that being energy will then send a ripple effect that will allow yourself to trust a deeper inspiration from a creative, intuitive, emotional place that you can't see. Can't see. All right, I think that's it. Let's go into our Cancers. Rahu is the north node and Ketu is the south node in Vedic astrology. It's just names. They're just names. Different ways of calling it things. Okay, let's go into our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our little crabs. We have the Nine of Wands. Now, this is an interesting energy because we're talking mutable Sagittarian energy, fire energy. We're talking about a character who's been wounded, and he's aware of it. He's very defensive. He's on guard. And I feel as if potentially Spirit's going to say, where are you on guard, Cancer? Where are you? Where have you been wounded? Now, here we look at Pluto opposing you. And if you are a late born Cancer, Pluto has been really, fluttering around you for a couple of years now. I only know this because I'm a Libra and it's been doing it to I'm Aries. So it's been doing it to me. And I feel, well, the square is not the same as an opposition. If there have been outside forces that have been opposing you in some way, and we'll see what the other spread to get more detail, that maybe again, here we go. It's time to allow yourself to look up a little bit and see that there has been growth through all of this. And there's no longer a need to truly defend yourself because you've grown past a need to defend or guard. It's a better way to put it. Our first angel for our Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums is Oceana. The second is Aurora. The third is Bridget. And the final is Rosetta. Oceana is being joined by the fire fairy. Aurora is being joined by the horse. Bridget is being joined by the raven. And Rosetta is being joined by the water fairy. All right, my Cancers, I'm going to say it this way, because when I look at this, I feel like I'm speaking a lot to younger Cancer women who are still embarking on some of the markers of life, like motherhood, parenting, etc. Because if you have been wounded, I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I don't care, what your preference is, but I do, meaning in life, who you want to love, what you want to be single, you want to be with other people. regardless of that, there has been some sort of wounding for Cancer. So even if this has nothing to do with family or love, interests, or children, there could be this experience within the community that you have invested your heart in, or the work or the job that you've invested your heart in. And you've gotten used to sort of feeling like you could potentially, how do I want to put this? Cancer represents the nurturer. So oftentimes when those that need nurturing want something, they just whine and scream and I want food, I want this. And there may be a little part of you that feels like, okay, I'm happy to do this for you. But now we're getting into a place where I'm feeling a little wounded by this constant need from other people. And I'm feeling guarded because I don't know if anybody's helping me do anything. Because this is what I want to say. Cancer. Oceana is asking you to take action lovingly on your emotional truth. And the Fire Fairy is asking you to have optimism about that. I feel like when people are nurturers, they get really scared if they actually try to take care of themselves, that people are going to revolt and dump them. And I think that there becomes a momentum of I have to take care of others or I have no value. And I think that we're missing the forest through the trees with that, Cancer, because I think the creative action is if you actually take care of your own emotional, spiritual love bubble, then other people can start to learn that, hey, this is a give and take situation, not just a take. Because Aurora's saying you're flying high right now, which may threaten others. So if you don't necessarily nurture them, they may whine and scream at first. That may be what this whole Pluto retrograde and this eclipse is ushering in for you. But this is time for you to go in a different direction and lovingly assert yourself towards yourself. To remember that if you don't put the mask on you, you can't save the baby. So here is Bridget saying to look deeper into the situation. This is in the angel's advice, and this is magic, coincidence, and synchronistic events that will line up this opportunity for you to go into a different direction, for you to see the wisdom of sometimes. I have a friend of mine who every time there's a little wounded human being who cries about money or cries about lack of resources, he just gives them money. And what do? They spend the money and then they come back and they cry about it. So I don't have any more money. I don't have any more money. And he gives them more money. And I'm telling him, what are you doing? You're not empowering that human. You're disempowering them. So something's going on where Cancer has been overly loving other people and not loving themselves enough. And I think that the timing is right for you to look deeper into that and say, you know what? I'm going to start to take care of me. And this is the bigger picture because I'm tired of guarding my home and defending myself to other people. Because here, this is where I look at Rosetta, and this is where I'm not going to parenting of others, but to your inner child matters. You matter. And it's time for you to pay attention to her or him. And it's time for you to say, what I need to swim through in my emotional body is destined to be. The whale is the soul's calling. So I want to offer this because Cancer in your nurturing, sometimes maybe you don't realize that if you cook and you clean for people, that's great. It serves one purpose. But when you nurture yourself and then feel joy and happiness and time seems to stretch, and you don't get locked up in what hasn't happened, but you're excited about what will happen, meaning what you're putting forth, then I think that's where you really are nurturing those that you love. It's the balance between care of self and care of others. And then this feeling of having to be guarded will dissipate and the wound will heal. All right. I am on my way to Gemini. Truti, I think it's Trupti. I just started. I started a while ago. I started Pisces and I work my way towards Aries. So we've already done Leo. We are going on to our Geminis now. Rising Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. All right. Here we go. Thank you, 145 Club. Here we go. All right, let's look and see what we have for Gemini. Our tarot card for Gemini is the Judgment card. This is Pluto. This is the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is the illumination. This is Archangel Gabriel heralding in a new dawn. And while these characters are still de-thawing from their deep freeze, they are inspired and illuminated and willing to open their hands and their arms and their physical experience to this transformation. Gemini, transformation is afoot. And I want to offer it this way because I really believe that Pluto brings beautiful things. I've seen, people who don't study astrology, celebrities, etc. We get access to their charts and we literally see Pluto blowing up some of the dynamics in their lives. And then we watch a year later, 2 years later, the complete reversal of what looked like devastation becomes a dream life. And I can't help but see Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani because they both had their marriages crack up. They both were living kind of what appeared to be okay lives. And then when the two of them got together, it like to the moon and back, okay? Because the love they have for each other is palatable to everybody who sees them. They glow. Gwen Stefani has never been more beautiful as she is as a 50-something-year-old woman. And it's because of the love in her life. And so I want to just offer that because don't be afraid of Pluto, Gemini, or anyone else. Okay, Desiree is our first angel, Gemini, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Teresa is our second. The third is Estera. And the final is Francesca. Oh, well. We always have to take the card that falls out of the deck. So the Wasp is joining Desiree. Teresa is being joined by the Letting Go card. Estera is being joined by the Fire Fairy. And Francesca is being joined by Merlin. I don't know if I told you guys this story, but back in 2003 or 2, I can't remember. It was a long process, about a year and a half, when Scorpio, the South Node, K2, was transiting Scorpio. Obviously, the North Node was going through Taurus. I lost everything I own. I had moved to North Carolina to open a spiritual bookstore, and that was the stupidest idea ever. I didn't know what the Bible Belt was. I was not very well informed that way. And in the move home, I lost everything I owned. The moving van was stolen, and I was wiped out. And I was wiped out of my belongings, but not out of my bills. So I say that because Gemini, something's changing. Something is transforming, and the surrender of that transformation is something you've been calling forth. There's something in your energy that's been saying, I'm sick and tired of what has been, and I want something new. And now it's time for you to see how pissed off you are about it not happening yet, because you're being pissed off, being angry, being frustrated is blocking. And now it's time to stop worrying and going back and forth in your mind, back and forth, Gemini, back and forth into that. The lower energy of Gemini is the monkey mind, looking at my everyday activities and assessing the viability of my dreams coming true by what I'm stuck to in this world, in this 3D world. Now the letting go card, that represents let it go from the movie Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. This is what's going on with Gemini. It's time for those fears to be transformed. It's time for you to look at where your own malcontent or discontent or anger and frustration have been a focus that's literally blocking spirit from being able to bring this rise like the phoenix, to have this illumination. Because Estera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and not to compromise in any way. And the compromise would be trying to figure out how it's going to happen and then not seeing evidence of that, because it's about creative action and optimism that comes through inspiration. And to further kind of put a button on it, Spirit is saying that alchemy is here for you, justice and balance, but you've got to be aware of when you're focusing too much on the challenge and not on the solution. Watching the History Channel is really illuminating for me. I absolutely love it. And one of the things you see, there's a show called The Men That Built America. And these billionaires, Rockefeller and J.D. JP Morgan and Vanderbilt. These guys did not focus on problems for long. They focused on solutions, and they became, very Plutonian in that, because they would grab their power, and they weren't afraid to assert their power. I'm not saying that was imbalance, but I'm just saying. So as you are able to focus in on spirit, I can't see the solution, and my own irritation, my own frustration with the way things have been is slowing it down. So give me an experience to appease my worry. Give me an experience that helps me get out of the weebles wobble, but they don't fall down energy, so that I can really alchemize what it is I want to experience. Bobby. And then let's watch 6 months from now. Because let me just tell you this. I believe so wholeheartedly that we're here to represent the balance, not the dark, but the light that happens during the dark. And without dark, who can see light? You have to have light, dark, to have light. Think about it for a minute. Okay, Taurus, this is your moon. I'm sorry. It's my moon. It's your solar eclipse. Sorry. Sometimes when I get a chance to listen to the playback and I hear myself say something wrong, I get so annoyed. Be like Lucky, Lucky-licious. Lucky. What you doing over there, sleepy boy? Ignoring me. Okay. Oh, Taurus, you have the cup of love. This is so beautiful. This also can represent Pisces, as we see this little fish come out. But Taurus, this is really the infusion of love. Be loving. Be open to love. Look for love. Feel love. And I want to offer it this way, because love is not always warm and fuzzy. Sometimes love is a little disruptive. Sometimes love says no to something that isn't authentic. So let's see. Oceana is our first angel, Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We have Archangel Gabriel. Then we have Teresa and Rochelle. Oh, a lot of worry coming up with Teresa today. I can see why, though. It's easy to worry about things right now. Oh, my goodness. All right. Oceana is being joined by the protection card, Taurus. Archangel Gabriel's being joined by the bee. Teresa's being joined by the love card. And Rochelle's being joined by the movement card. Well, this is kind of really ridiculously beautiful, because we have the page inferring love and inferring a connection. Pisces is ancestral. It represents, the ancestors that came before us, and in many ways karmic reward and challenge. It is and I say reward and challenge because it's sort of a double-edged sword. And I feel like sometimes when we have to come from love or from our heart, there is such an unsuredness about the safety of it. And that's, again, a double-edged sword, because here is Oceana saying to come from your heart, and there's the protection card, and there's the 38, which reduces down to an 11. So we're going to think this is important for you to really align to not what you can see, but only what you can feel, Taurus. And that's not always easy for you, because you rule history, and you rule family history. So being a Taurus moon, I know I can get caught up in this idea of the old story and how I felt about it. But if I'm going to truly feel my life is fulfilled, meaningful, then my heart is what I have to trust. And that's very different than my outside world and the people that gave birth to me. Because when I go to Gemini, when I go to Archangel Gabriel, I feel like I'm seeing my everyday activities and my thoughts and my everyday life. And in some ways, this goes back to this. I'm being protected because I'm coming at it emotionally. My mind now must calm down from all of that noise of everyday life, the noise of running errands, running to make my job, running late, all the horn blowing on the highway. Now there's my being energy. So Taurus, you're starting to have an opportunity to really look at the monkey mind and to quiet it down by going into your emotional heart, because here is Teresa offering concern and worry. And then there's the love card. And I want to say this, Taurus, you rule, in ruling the family history, there is a dynamic, there is a feeling of what we talk about, skills with the second house. We talk about our voice. We talk about our speaking voice, our singing voice. We talk about our skills. I don't know if I just said that. And I feel like this is all about Taurus aligning to a deeper truth of what they know on an intuitive level about themselves, but maybe haven't fully integrated into the physical experience. Now I'm taking this new moon in Taurus at 10 degrees, which to me, the 10 degree is new structure. The 10th house is also a degree of thought, because here we have Rochelle and the movement card. So I want to say movement is coming. Protection is there for you in the form of all your resources will be taken care of. Everything that you need to feel secure and flow within your material world will take place as you trust an emotional ebb and flow that comes as a result of trusting your heart and knowing that this is a specific journey. And then I see the movement card as a 36, which is a 9. So there's the end of a cycle of not feeling protected, it almost feels as if the energy of Taurus that has been unsure about our financial security is going to shift. It's almost as if Taurus is able to somehow ground into the 3D world, that they are being protected emotionally from spirit, as long as I stay out of my monkey mind and the worry of others. Sometimes when we have a concern, we'll go to someone and they'll be like, I'm worried about this. And they'll be like, I know, you should be worried. Don't go there. That's what I'm talking about. Starting to identify who stokes us in the direction we want to go, who stokes us in the direction of our fears and trepidations, and then letting love and the bigger version of who and what you are, because you're never going to die. You may shed this body, but you're going to go on and 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 on, and then on some more. Okay. I'm going to move on. I know I'm talking. When I throw the tarot card in there, it really brings extra time into the broadcast. That's why I'm so grateful for Small Wildflowers and for Juan, because they both do such a huge service for me. And those timestamps, when I do videos by myself, we don't see timestamps. What am I doing? I'm on Aries. Okay, Aries. Here we go. Yay, Aries. We got Capricorn, the devil. We got the card of, I got to say this, because if you really look at this card carefully, you will see that these characters are not bound by this devil, that they can remove those chains, pull them over their heads. And on some level, the devil is trying to light a fire under this guy's butt. And that fire could be inspiration. And I want to offer it also as the devil represents the Capricorn energy. And Aries is being squared by Capricorn right now. Late degree Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. So I want to offer the idea that this devil card is asking you to reassess and renovate and to review what you think about the structures in your life, who holds authority over you, and is it aligned in a way that you feel purposeful? I kind of think of Aries as the general to the sun, right? Leo. And I don't always think of them as argumentative of one another, but oftentimes cooperative. But again, this is an alignment of how we see the structure, of how we allow ourselves the ebb and the flow of imperfection and perfection. So the devil in this case could be, the feeling, well, let's see. Let's see. Because I feel like this is more about breaking a structure than it is being overcome by one. So let's look. Hi, CJD. Woo. Okay, here we go. Azure, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. This is for Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We have Ray in the opportunity and obstacle. We have Mystique, and then we have Crystal. Woo! All right. Azure is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Ray is being joined by the Trust card. Mystique is being joined by the Raven. And Crystal is being joined by the Cat. I want to offer this for my Aries because Aries is very entrepreneurial, very independent, very courageous in many ways. And I want to offer it this way because I feel like the devil could potentially be representing your version of what you perceive is authority or restriction or some sort of, how do I want to put it? Like there's certain rules of engagement. That's the way I want to put it. And you may be perceiving those rules of engagement as more restrictive. And I feel like, as you're saying, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. And there's the wind fairy. And I want to offer it this way because the wind fairy here is really about thinking, like, giving the man more power in your thoughts than it may actually have in the 3D world. And I'll say it this way, because Ray is about connection to spirit, and there's the Trust card. And this connection is a focus, a meditative focus that gets you into your power center through your heart chakra and how you're speaking to yourself. Because Mystique is saying that miracles are coming, and your job is to continue ahead and to realize you've been to the underworld, you've picked the bones, you've looked at the devil within, and now your job as an Aries is to start to assimilate that Aries is not always at its best when it's charging through a situation. Sometimes we have to sit back and allow the ebb and the flow of spirit passing a baton back to us. And when we feel that restriction, that maybe there's the potential that Capricorn, that devil energy is making you feel, is not necessarily as restrictive as you are perceiving it, because I think that your mind may be perceiving it. Because here is Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. And then there's the Cat, not only 9 lives, but independence. I'm not going to the healthy boundaries. What I think is going on, there's something that Aries is birthing. And they're birthing an inspired idea that requires a certain amount of structure be rewritten. And in many ways, not being able to see how that structure is playing out, because we're going to have to sort of write the structure within our heart before we write it in the 3D world. And Aries, if you're feeling that I feel like it's sandpaper sometimes with this idea of Pluto in Capricorn, because I feel like if you're trying to rewrite or infuse a new story on an old structure, you're going to be challenged. But if you give life to the idea that that old structure is going to renovate without your participation, so you kind of sit back, continue to put your beam up and tell spirit what you want, to continue to charge ahead with your belief in yourself and know that sometimes it's a timing issue, then I think you're going to see more bounty coming and feel more true independence. And that's because resources are coming. Resources are coming that allow you the privilege of a flow within your creative body. So I think that this week is super pivotal for everybody because we're planting very strong seeds. They're not little wafy seeds that one wind can blow away, but seeds that you have nurtured and cultivated and sprouted before you put into the ground. And now is a time to tend to them with care and love and give them time to grow. All right, guys. Thanks for showing up today. I know this was a long broadcast. And thank you so much, Juan, for putting in the timestamps. I try to make it less, but I just don't know if I can. There's so much going on these days, and there's so many layers to talk about. So finally, we're going to do next Saturday is my first webinar. If you want to sign up on the early bird for $19.99, you're going to have to get a hold of me today via email. And the timestamp in your email will be the thing that determines whether you qualify for the early bird if it's later today. Tomorrow, it will start being $29.99. And we are going to do a series that's going to really give you a good, it's like we're going to identify the puzzle pieces to put together the puzzle of your soul's intention for this lifetime and why some of those challenges are really going to reveal your greatest strengths. So I'm excited. And then I'll be back next week, and I'll be putting out a May monthly because I just thought it would be fun to cover some of the dynamics that's going to go on in May because it's going to continue. I'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Pacific time, with more Traversing the Transits with Teri Hunter. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share, and all those other good things. And we'll see you next week. Peace out.